Hi, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then welcome. My name's Maren, and my channel's name is Maren Makes It. Over the last 2 weeks, I made a mini series going through the pros and cons of camping out of a car versus a tent. Now I want to share some of the challenges I ran into and what became unsustainable about camping and traveling full-time for me. I feel like a lot of YouTubers glorify living as a digital nomad without talking about the downsides or the real challenges that come along with it. At the end of this video, I'll share some thoughts with you about whether or not all this was worth it and how to approach planning a big road trip. First reason why was honestly inability to charge my laptop. So I was traveling with 2 jobs. They were both part-time and remote. However, I did still need to do both of them, and I really needed good accessible internet access. While usually it was easy to find Wi-Fi and I could pretty much make a hotspot anytime I did not have the ability to find Wi-Fi, what I did not anticipate was how hard it was going to be to find places to charge my laptop. Some campgrounds did have outlets in the bathrooms that you could use, and occasionally I could use the visitor centers in places. However, when I was really in remote locations, it was like impossible to find an outlet. And so my limiting factor was kind of how long I had on my laptop battery. My laptop even has a really good battery. It's just that I sometimes have to do video calls for work, and between using a hotspot and then having Zoom or Google Meets open, this really drains the battery of your laptop really quickly. The next thing that started to make camping unsustainable for me was refrigeration. Keeping food good was really difficult, especially if you're dealing with hotter temperatures. When I had days that were in the 90s, you're basically buying a ton of ice just to keep food cold at all. You have to go to the store frequently, or you're spending a lot of money on pre-prepared foods. In the end, it meant I wasn't really eating foods that made me feel that great because I was going more for convenience and quickness instead of wanting to pay more money. Or the next thing was weather. So for me, the temperatures were starting to get colder as it became fall and then starting to go into winter. That would be a limiting factor for me of how cold I was willing to do this at. I much preferred when I could sit outside at a picnic table or be outdoors when I would be working. However, that temperature range is limited, and there were a couple days, I really only had 1 or 2, I got really lucky with this, where it was raining outside. When the temperature is really uncomfortable because it's either too cold or too hot and you're just kind of sitting in your car, it's really hard to be efficient and productive at work. Nobody's thinking at their best when all they can think about is, sweat dripping down their face, or when they're shivering and all they can think about is how cold they are. Neither of those are going to be recipes really for a productive or focused work environment, and so it was making my work start to take a lot longer as the weather got cooler. Another sort of weather-related condition that I ran into was wildfire smoke. That was a really difficult one because when everything smells smoky outside, first of all, there's a burn ban in effect, meaning that you can't make a fire in any of these camps, so you don't have the light or the heat or atmosphere at night. As somebody from the East Coast, it was very weird to me to go camping and not be able to make a campfire while I was there, because in my mind those two things were kind of linked. It can also be more difficult because you're not able to use the fire for cooking purposes, so you're a lot more reliant on having some kind of a camping stove if you want to have hot food at all. The wildfire smoke was honestly very difficult for my throat and my eyes to deal with at times. It's another one of those conditions that really takes you out of the present moment and makes it difficult to concentrate on what you're doing, whether that's having fun and going on an adventure or trying to be productive and get work done. I also feel like I have to use this platform to show a few photos of what it looks like when you're driving through the burn scars left by past fires and also haze of current fires. These images that look like they were taken on an iPhone 3 are not hazy from bad camera quality, but rather the smoke in the air. Most of these images were taken near the Dixie Fire in September 2021. The Dixie Fire burned from mid-July that year until the end of October when it was finally contained. During that time, it burned over 900,000 acres, which for reference is the size of 1 1/4 the state of Rhode Island. So it's larger than the smallest state in this country, and that's just one fire. Anyways, it felt wrong to mention wildfires in this video without at least acknowledging the devastation left by these fires. The next aspect that started to become kind of unsustainable for me kind of took a gradual toll on me, and that was that I never felt like I was fully relaxed. Because you're sort of on guard, and I'm not saying like be on guard in a paranoid way, But I'm saying, you have to have this heightened level of awareness of everything that's going on around you when you're in unknown environments and unknown situations. Even just in order to be able to figure out like, oh, where's the water? Where's the bathroom? Like just being kind of aware of the other people that are around you. This heightened level of awareness that you have to have basically until the moment you fall asleep from the moment you're awake was just starting to really take a toll on me and starting to use up a lot of my energy. While it was definitely worth it in order to be able to see some truly amazing places that I wouldn't have been able to see otherwise, after months of traveling, this really started to wear on me. Right, in line with that is the concept of decision fatigue in psychology. So that's the idea that humans can only make a certain number of conscious decisions in a day. The rest of our decisions are unconscious ones. So those are more of our habits and things that we do automatically. So for example, when you're in your home, making coffee or going to the bathroom or just figuring out how to drink water or where to drink water from, these are things that are automated. You know that you're going to turn on the tap, maybe you always use this mug. Those are all automated choices that you're not putting a lot of extra energy or thought into on a daily basis. Whereas now a lot of those things that would be habitual if you were in a apartment or in a more stable living situation for me, they had become things that had to become conscious decisions. And so when every decision has to be a conscious one about like, where am I going to sleep? Where am I going to get water? Where am I going to get gas? And these are really things that are kind of just a matter of ensuring your safety and your basic needs are being met. It does get really exhausting over time. Anyways, I wanted to just share a little bit of my own experience to give you guys some perspective. I at first kind of felt like I was doing this because I wanted to be on more of a budget and be able to make my trip last longer. However, in the process, I didn't even realize that I would get to see some sights and things that I wouldn't have gotten to see otherwise at all. For example, I would have never been at a national park early enough or late enough to see a sunrise or, for example, to go stargazing there. And some of those views just truly take your breath away. And it's really in those moments that you're reminded like why you put up with all these inconveniences of camping and why you're working so hard to juggle traveling while working. Because those moments that kind of take your breath away, they make it all worth it and they remind you why you're doing this in the first place. I really want this channel to be a place that's all about trying new things and living more creatively and getting outside of your comfort zone so that you can create a life for yourself that you really want. If you have an idea or a dream or a goal that you're thinking about, then I challenge you to think of just one thing today that you can do that's an action that will get you a little bit closer towards that thing. Every dream and goal and idea, it takes a million little baby steps to actually bring that thing into existence, but you are so much more capable of doing this than you give yourself credit for when you really break it down into the little steps and just focus on doing one thing at a time. It's so easy to get overwhelmed when we have an idea of something we might want to do or a place we might want to go and visit, that we kind of lose sight of the individual steps we need to be taking and just get kind of lost in that feeling of overwhelm. So I want to challenge you to just take one step today. And that can be as small as, asking your friend, hey, I'm thinking about doing a road trip to here. Like, would it be okay if I stay with you on the way? Just sending that one text.
Which is actually exactly how I started my trip on May 26, 2021.
Or it could be a series of Google searches of, hey, what is there to do in the state of Washington? Just starting with that one question, with that one action step, that already brings you that much closer to actually making that thing happen and bringing it from just kind of an idea or a dream or something that's in your head into something that's actually going to happen in your life. This is something I talk about a lot with my health coaching clients too. Even an Olympic swimmer had a day where they first got in that pool. Whether they were 3 when they did it and you're now 30 when you're doing it, like there was a first for everything. Like everybody has a first time doing something and no one is very good at something the very first time they do it. It takes planning and learning and repetition to get good at something. And that goes whether you're talking about something like swimming or you're talking about something like being able to plan a trip and go on an adventure. The good news is though that since these are skills, they're things you can work on and they're things you can get better at. And I promise that they will get easier over time the more you do them. Anyways, I know that was a lot of information in today's video. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you did, consider giving me a thumbs up down below and subscribing to my channel for more similar content coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, YouTube!